witches, I am Tiffany from Bewitching.Bemused. Today I'm going to tell you how to reverse or undo a spell, specifically one that you cast. Because you know what? It happens. Sometimes you cast something and you regret it later, you have a change of heart, you go, uh-oh, I don't know if I want the backlash from this, or maybe it backfires completely, or you were drunk when you cast it. I don't know. Just a little piece of advice. Don't cast spells while drunk. Now, there is some debate whether or not you can reverse a spell that has already manifested. From my personal opinion, and also my personal experience, you can. It's just harder. It's much easier to reverse a spell that you've cast if it hasn't actually manifested yet, but it's not impossible. It just sort of depends. Like if you cursed somebody and then they got fired, if you reverse it, I highly doubt their boss is gonna suddenly call them up and beg them to come back, but they might be able to find a new job pretty quickly. That's just one example, but there's lots of times you might wanna undo what you did. I will tell you right now, it is also much, much, much easier to do if, one, you took a very detailed account of what you did and how you did it and what ingredients you used. Which is why it is so important to keep a magical journal. But in addition to that, it's also why it is very important to hang on to spell remains for a while after you've cast. When I say spell remains, I mean if you used a poppet, if you bound a photograph, if you used some string or ribbon for not magic, even just herbs, candle drippings. If you finished the spell and you buried the ingredients in the ground, I really hope you know where you put them. So, I'm going to give you ways you can undo it if you have the remains and you know how you did it, if you only know how you did it but you don't have the remains, and if you have neither. Hopefully one of these methods will work for you, because while I'm sure lots of you are just watching this for future reference because it's educational and good to know, I'm sure there are also a lot of people currently watching this video because they did a panicked Google search looking for help. So don't worry, just witch, I got you. So if you have any of those things, any of the remains and ingredients, even just the journal entry, gather it all up and get ready. So the first thing I want you to do is take all of it apart. If you bound a photograph, untie it. Try to untie the knots in that string if you need to. Open up the jar, open up the box, just get it all out. Just keep in mind, intention is very important here. Remember, last week I gave you instructions on how to dismantle a jar or a bag or a box without disrupting the spell that was successful and you want to keep successful. As you do this, you need to power it with that energy of, I want this gone. Undo it, flip it, reverse it, get rid of it. Ugh. As you do this, visualize the spell itself falling apart. Everything kind of going back into place the way it was before you cast, or at the very least before it manifested. Now, if you did not use fire in the initial work, I want you to burn everything. Obviously, be careful, don't burn a glass jar because that can be dangerous, it might explode. So just be cautious, but burn it. If you did use fire in the initial spell work, you can either flush it down the toilet or throw it away. If possible, try to take it directly to a dumpster. Get it out of the house. If you have to throw it away in the trash can, it's not the end of the world, but we want to speed it along, right? So you just want to tear it apart and then throw it away as far away from you as you can. And feel free to say a little something while you're doing all of that, just to give it that extra oomph of, I am undoing this. This goes for all of these techniques. Add both remorse, regret, maybe if you're feeling a little bit panicked, calm it, don't go all crazy and wild-eyed after it, but add a bit of that emotion to it, that urgency, but also make sure to add remorse. Add a little bit of humbleness. The universe or your deity or whoever brought this into manifestation for you, and now you're like, just kidding, can y'all take that back now, thanks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but maybe just add a little bit of gratefulness. Just a little bit of, thanks for giving this to me, but can we like turn that back around? A little remorse, a little humility, it might help you get what you want. Just a little bonus tip there. If you don't have the spell remains, but you do have detailed notes, you are going to use them to create a counterspell. This spell worked once already. Now let's make it work again, but opposite. Take that spell and alter the incantation to mean the exact opposite, the reverse of what you said before. For every correspondence that you had, use the opposite. Just do your best to follow your own instructions step by step, every step of the way. You can go in the same order, but just try to nullify everything that you used previously. Okay, if you have absolutely nothing, just maybe a vague memory of what you did, you still have options. For this first one, all you need is a black candle, preferably a taper or a small one, something that you can easily break, because you're gonna do that at one point. So light the candle. You can anoint it if you want, but it's not necessary. Just make sure you light it, and then visualize that last spell that you cast working, and then visualize it falling apart. The changes that occurred due to the first spell, go back to the way they were, or at least return to a neutral state. The spell is no longer working. If the spell has not manifested, you can visualize that magic starting to work and then stopping in its tracks and backtracking. At that point, when you have that visualization of that magic just completely falling apart, very strong in your mind, blow out the candle. Pick it up if it's safe to do so and break that sucker in half. If it's biodegradable, at that point you can bury it. Otherwise, throw it away. If it's biodegradable and you choose to bury it, it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of graveyard dirt if you happen to have some on hand. If your spell involved you binding two people together, or yourself to someone else, or yourself to something, a career, and you no longer want to be in that situation, you can do a cord cutting. Once again, light a black candle. You can either do this with a visualization, drawing, or a picture. Let's say it's you and an ex, and you broke up, you're not good together, they're a terrible person, but you keep getting drawn back into each other's lives. You can either visualize the two of you with several cords that tether you to one another, or you can draw a picture of the same thing, or if you have a picture of the two of you together, you can use that. Just make sure it's a picture of only the two of you. Whichever medium you're using, make sure you are also visualizing. And in this, you want to either visualize scissors or actually take a pair of scissors and start cutting through those cords one by one. You can do this also with the drawing. If you're using a picture, just cut nice and slow. Make sure to start at the bottom of the picture and make sure it is facing you so you are cutting away from you. As you're going through this process of visualizing it and or physically doing it, you can say a little something, no harm comes to them or me, separate us, we are no good to each other, we are unhealthy, whatever it is. This relationship or this career or whatever does not serve its purpose any longer. Cut these ties that bind, I don't know. You'll figure it out. If it's something that either the remains are around somewhere, you just need to find them, but you need this to stop right now, or this is something that you still want, but maybe it's a little too much, a little too soon, and you just need to pump the brakes a bit, you can always put a pause on it. Write the intention of the previous spell on a slip of paper. Roll it up away from you, so you roll it up that way. Tie it with some black string, twine, ribbon, whatever. Put it in a freezer-proof bowl, cup, or bag of water. In that water, sprinkle a bit of black pepper over it, say a little something if you want, and then stick it in the freezer. Once you are either now better prepared to accept this manifestation, or you are ready with those ingredients to just vanquish this whole thing, take it out of the freezer, allow it to thaw, pull out the piece of paper, allow that to dry, untie it, unwrap it toward you, but only if you want to reactivate the spell. If you are going to use another ritual to end this spell that you previously did, just leave it rolled up, but still untie it. Either way, once it's dry and everything, just burn it. Worst comes to worst, you can always do a banishing or a protection spell, and of course, ammonia jars are always super useful. I have a video on those. They are meant to reverse situations, even magical ones. All right, anywho, Christmas was 2 days ago, so I do want to say a happy, merry, belated Christmas. If you guys have had a situation where you have needed to or wanted to undo a spell for any reason, I would love to hear it. Leave it in the comments down below. Here's my Instagram and email address. Please keep in mind, as I have been announcing, I'm going to start using Instagram more for channel announcements as well as taking polls. And if I do a Q&A, I might be like, hey guys, list your questions on the Instagram. It's just kind of an easier place for me to track comments and things. So give me a follow if you have an Instagram. If you don't worry, you're not missing out. Nothing is changing with the channel, so don't worry. Oh, and if you like this, hit that thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And also, if you are not already a subscriber, I would love it if you would stick around. So hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell so you get notifications and never miss out on any of my amazing I couldn't say that with a straight face. Any of my content. Whatever, my content is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna stop joking around. If you are using any of these rituals or spells for any reason, I do wish you the best of luck. Like, no joking there. Seriously, like, good luck. I am sending you good vibes. Let me know how it turns out. I will talk to you all soon.